Hi everyone, welcome to week 7 of our Comp 2 course. I apologize for getting this video out a little bit later than normal. I was wrapping up grades for one of my other classes, and that ate into some of my time to make this video. But hopefully you still find it useful. If you have not done so already, it is time to get into the nuts and bolts of writing Project 2. To do that, you need to spend some time this week considering how you have conducted or will conduct observations and or interviews. And you should spend some time actually doing these tasks if you have not yet begun. You also need to make some decisions about which genres will best represent the social issue and community/group you are examining. And lastly, you'll spend some time discussing the reading Is Google Making Us Stupid and how it applies to you and your friends, which should help you learn to critically examine how a group of people are interacting with a social issue, similarly to what you will be doing in Writing Project 2. Remember that your goal for your interviews is to gather information on how effectively your group is addressing a social issue. This means you need to consider what constitutes effectiveness for your group, which will vary from person to person, group to group, community to community. For example, one former student wrote about her weekly bowling league team and how they dealt with alcoholism. One of her teammates regularly drank to extreme excess at their matches. She judged the group's effectiveness in dealing with alcoholism based on how members engaged the man about his problem. What she noted was that while people were willing to joke with him about it, no one seriously addressed the issue with him directly. Her analysis of her group's actions in the news articles she found about how some recreational sports leagues were addressing the issue of alcoholism by banning alcohol outright led her to judge her group's actions as ineffective. Another former student analyzed how effective her workplace was in reaching out to veterans seeking employment. She found news articles discussing how some businesses, such as Amazon, have in house veteran recruitment programs, and other businesses work to educate veterans about how their military skills can translate from the armed forces to the private sector. When comparing those ideas to her employer's actions to recruit veterans by using third party companies and giving a single briefing on veteran recruitment, she judged her employer's actions as providing the bare minimum and in need of a more proactive strategy. Take some time this week and consider what criteria you will use to analyze and judge your group's actions. If you struggle with that, please don't hesitate to ask me for assistance. Be very happy to help you come up with ideas. As you are observing and interviewing, be sure to take good notes. These can be on paper, typed into a computer or some other device. You can do an audio recording. You can potentially, do a video recording. If you are going to record a group of people, do make sure to get their permission first before doing so. How you would like to complete the work is entirely up to you. However, you will need to discuss the process of observing and or interviewing in your essay. So, you should be sure to keep all notes and record as much as possible for future use. So, like when you write your essay, you're going to need to have at least a brief explanation of where you gathered your information from. Did you do interviews? Did you do observations? What questions did you ask? If you're doing observations, what were you looking for during those observations? Task 1 this week, we have some readings. You should review Chapter 48, Finding Sources, paying close attention to doing field research. And you also have the reading Is Google Making Us Stupid? These readings will help you prepare to interview or observe your group and prepare you to do a self analysis in preparation for analyzing your group's actions in writing Project 2. Task 2 is actually observing or interviewing your group. Now that you have some idea what a multi genre essay is, it's time to start conducting your observations. Remember, you need to be observing or interviewing a group. This does not include family members, an individual, or a number of people with no clear connection to one another. A group might include workers at a store dealing with theft, members of a charitable group battling homelessness, players on a recreation league team challenging racism, members of a religious organization assisting the hungry, regulars at a restaurant or club caring for the intoxicated, etc. For this task, you should observe your community or group and or conduct interviews with group members. I would be sure to review doing field research before conducting your observations or interviews. And I'd like you to write a 1 to 2 page essay explaining how you are conducting those observations and interviews and how you are tracking the information you are gleaning from your research. And remember, your two sources from our research databases must discuss how a group is addressing a social issue, and those sources must be used in your analytical essay to analyze how effectively your observed group is addressing the same or a similar social issue. Task 3. After reading Is Google Making Us Stupid? I'd like you to write out your response to Carr's question. First, discuss how you see Google or other search engines and social media affecting the collective intelligence of you and your friends. Next, answer the following questions. What concerns do you have regarding the fleeting nature of today's discourse? Do you find yourself overly reliant on technology to the detriment of your other natural abilities? Do you see your technical skills as an addition to your physical talents? Once you've thoroughly responded to Carr's question, use Carr's text as a lens to analyze whether you meet Carr's idea of being machine like or of possessing a form of artificial intelligence. Write a 2 page analysis that begins with an interesting introduction to Carr's work, analyzes at least 2 of your responses using direct examples from Carr's text, and ends with a conclusion that includes a thesis statement in which you pass judgment on whether you have qualities of becoming machine like or an artificial intelligence. Please note for this short essay, you do not need to include in-text citations or a works cited page. For task 4, I'd like you to spend some time looking at 1 or 2 of the example essays posted in the Writing Projects and Rubrics section of Blackboard. Take note of how the author conducted field research to find out information about the group that they observed. Also, think about how the genre pieces tie into the author's judgment of their observed group's activities. Task 5 is posting to the discussion board. Your first post is due by Thursday. By now, you hopefully have some idea of what genres you'll be writing for your essay. In 1 paragraph each, first explain what 2 genres you've selected, then how those genres connected to your social issue and your community/group, and finally, why you have decided to use those 2 genres to represent your work. In your reply posts, which are due on Saturday, I'd like you to comment on 2 other posts that your classmates have made and remark on the reasoning for their choices and offer suggestions. Did the genres seem to naturally connect with the social issue and community/group? What other genres might also connect with their topics, and why might those genres be a better choice? Finally, you're going to submit all of the writing that you completed for tasks 2 and 3, which were observing and analyzing. That is all for this week. Again, if you want to run your ideas past me, if you want to check to make sure that your social issue is good, or that you've selected the right group, or if you're struggling to find sources, just let me know. And I can answer any questions that you might have, or we can set up a meeting to talk about your work. That is it. Have a good rest of your week.